There are a lot of builds already out on YouTube that are crazy good and insane and are pretty much needed for difficult content in the game. Now on this channel, what I want to do is give you guys builds for exotics that you probably like but never get to use because you don't want to make a build around it and you don't also want to be useless in your fire team. So if that person is you and you have an exotic in mind that you really want to use but you can't come up with a concept of how you're going to apply it for a build, you can leave that in the comment section below and maybe I'll feature it on the channel at some point. This build has become one of my favorite builds in the game because it pretty much feels like I'm cheating. I'm able to use more than just 2 aspects on the Arc subclass when the Arc subclass for Warlock is already one of the best in the game at this point. So what do I mean by I use 3 aspects? Not only do I still get Arc Souls, I'm able to make Ionic Traces and I get the Lightning Surge aspect as well where I can slide and do the melee and teleport and all that stuff. So normally you would either have to have Ionic Traces and Arc Souls and leave out the melee, or keep the melee maybe in PvP or something like that, but with this build you could use all 3 at any time you want. You might be thinking about what exotic I'm going to use to pull this off, but like I said before, I don't want to use the same meta builds that everybody else is already using. I want to try to get creative and use something that most people might not be using because I feel like it's just way more fun that way. So if you're thinking we're gonna use something like Crown of Tempest or Fallen Sunstar or Geomag, something like that, nah, we're not gonna be using any of those. The way we're gonna achieve this is by using Getaway Artists. Any of those other exotics will basically make you choose. You're gonna lose one aspect, but with this one, since you get Arc Souls for free, you're able to skip that aspect and use the other 2 that are available. So you end up having Lightning Surge, Arc Souls, and you could still make as many Ionic Traces as possible. Now, since this is the anti-meta build series, let's quickly compare this build to the meta build to see how they match up. First, we're gonna go over the meta pick, Sunstar. Let's look at what that does. It gives you Ionic Traces that move faster to you. These Ionic Traces give more ability energy. And let me just show you side by side real quick what they mean by more ability energy when you pick up your Ionic Traces. Last thing it does is nearby allies get ability energy whenever you get Ionic Traces. This is probably the best part of this exotic, but it doesn't even have anything to do with you. I mean, it's great to be a support character, but at the end of the day, we're trying to make things as fun as possible for ourselves. If you want to be more useful for your teammates, like I said before, there are a lot of meta builds that you can use to do that. For Getaway Artists, when you consume your grenade, you get your Arc Soul activated immediately and you also get amplified at the same time. This replaces you having to use your Rift to get Arc Souls, and amplified activates all the best parts of the Arc subclass, especially this season. Basically, you get your Arc Soul and amplified whenever you want, and amplified unlocks all the best parts of the Arc subclass and gives you a speed boost at the same time. Comparing both, one makes the Ionic Traces that you already make, by the way, slightly better, and the other one allows you to use all 3 aspects, which basically includes your Lightning Strike from above. That is just insanely cool in my opinion and makes the game a little bit more fun. And let's not forget, you also don't have to waste your Rift every time that you need Arc Souls. You can save that for when you actually need it. But with this build, you're probably not gonna need the Rift that often, and you'll see why. Okay, let's break down the subclass for the build. For grenade choice, we'll be using blinding grenades, as blinding enemies is going to be a huge part of this build to make the survivability go up a notch. The melee doesn't matter because you're going to be using Lightning Surge, which allows you to teleport and do your Thor moment ability. For aspects, we pick up the other 2 aspects that are not for Arc Souls, which is Electrostatic Mind and Lightning Surge. For fragments, we'll use Amplitude, Aeons, and Discharge. This is the trifecta of most Arc weapon builds because Amplitude makes orbs of power from your multi-kills, Aeons and Discharge make Ionic Traces from jolt kills and Arc weapon final kills. Pretty much with this 3 fragments together, you're making orbs and Ionic Traces like crazy. The last fragment we'll be using is Beacons, which makes enemies blind on Arc special weapon kills, which adds to our aspect Electrostatic Mind, where defeating blinding targets makes Ionic Traces. So yes, even though we're not using Sunstar and we're not getting more ability energy from our Ionic Traces, we're just gonna make more by ourselves anyway. So between blinding, jolting, and attacking enemies with our axles, everything around just keeps getting beat up while you're safe, because blinded enemies usually don't hit their targets. For weapons, we got two of my favorite weapons, 21% Delirium and Delicate Tome. Now, other options if you don't have the Delicate Tome would be Forbearance, which is a really good grenade launcher that you can get from the Valve the Disciple raid. Salvage's Salvo was a ritual weapon that you might have stashed in your vault. You probably haven't used that in a while. Or you can use the Prodigal Return grenade launcher from last season as well. For 21% Delirium, my other option would be Terminus Horizon or Hothead if it's a DPS encounter in a raid, for example. Lastly, we're going to get into the stat distribution. This one's very straightforward because we're going to prioritize resilience, discipline, and then recovery. This is also the top option for most builds in the game right now, by the way, so that's a start for anybody else trying to cook up a build for something that they're using. If you have everything set up so far, your build is pretty much good to go. Using it is also very simple. You just blind things and jolt them with your Delicate Tome or whatever special weapon you decided to use for the build. And then you can finish them off with the LMG, or you could just keep spraying and playing with your special weapons depending on how much ammo you get. For the mods on the armor pieces, I'm just going to put that on the screen right now. That way you have a picture ready to go of what you need to put in where. Most of these items are already masterworked, so if you do that, that's going to help not only with the stat distribution but also being able to fit in all the mods that I'm using here for this build. I have a dim link for the entire build in the description, but if you still need help using it, leave a comment down below and I can help you there, or you can come by my Twitch stream with the link below and I can help you out there as well. Don't forget to leave a suggestion for a build you would like to see on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Actually hire the guy that designed the artwork for my thumbnail to do like my future thumbnails for me. We're not gonna wipe, right? Okay. I know, how's... Sunday most casuals don't have more than 2,500 in the game. I am play like 6 games. Wait. Huh? Sunday said good for you, bro. Sunday is for a character, man. Yo, I swear. Ay, ay, ay. Kill him dead. Oh, you okay? You run. Yeah, 3, 2, 1, jump on. You know, you know, what's his face? Zeke said that I do a lot of GOS. I feel like if anything, I do a lot of last week.